Bill and Ben are tank engines who live at a port on Edwards Line. Each has 4 wheels, a tiny chimney and dome, and a small squat cab. They're kept busy pulling trucks for ships in the harbour and engines on the main line. The trucks are filled with China clay dug from the nearby hills.
Hello, and welcome to this installment of Sodor Profile. In this episode, we'll be looking at a company, but not just any company. Today is about one of the most profitable companies on the island of Sodor, the Sodor China Clay Company. So, when was it built? Why was it built? And who runs it? Well, let's find out. In 1927, clay beds were discovered just outside Brendam. It was quickly decided that a quarry was to be established to mine the clay, with its own dedicated yard and small rail line. And since it was to be within the LMS area, they were handed the contract to build the line and ship the mined clay from Brendam. The whole construction took about 1 year to complete, and when the quarry was officially opened for service on June 11, 1928, it quickly became very busy, with shipments leaving Brendam on an almost daily basis. To help with the deliveries, the newly established company wanted its own private engine. However, they couldn't get one in time for the opening, so they temporarily borrowed Cullen from the LMS until their engine arrived. She did about 2 weeks later. That engine was Lady, a small 040 tank engine. She had worked at a stone quarry on the mainland, so she had some experience, which quickly showed since she organized the yard with a very efficient system. The LMS liked the new quarry, since it was very profitable for the company, given how busy it was. In fact, it was one of the most profitable contracts for the LMS at the time. Unfortunately for them, after they lost the Brendam branch to the Northwestern Railway in 1929, they also lost the contract for the quarry, which likewise was handed over to the Northwestern. This couldn't have come at a worse time for the LMS, since it was just at the start of the Great Depression, and having lost one of their most profitable contracts, it became somewhat problematic for them. On the other hand, it was great news for the Northwestern Railway, since with the contract in their hand, they were able to survive the Great Depression without too much hardship. And it wasn't just the clay pits. Along with McColl's Farm Services and the Anova Stone Quarry near Farquhar, the 3 companies were the biggest reason for the survival of the Northwestern, and were subsequently the reason for how the Northwestern Railway was able to pay for the Tidmouth expansion. So yeah, it was a great deal for the Northwestern Railway. However, shortly after obtaining the contract with the clay pits, Topham quickly made the realization that they would have to work hard to keep it up, considering that the branch was left with just 3 engines. Edward was quickly transferred, and he handled most of the passenger trains, while Colin, Lily and Adam juggled the other trains between them. And even though that most of the clay was shipped via Brendam, a good portion of it was also delivered to the mainland via rail. The 4 engines handled the trains fine until 1933, when they started to struggle. Topham was quick to act on this, and shortly after, Gary arrived to take the clay trains. Actually, as a matter of fact, he ended up handling most of the goods trains on the branch. Why? Well, look at him. Even as of present day, Gary remains the largest tank engine to have ever worked on not just the Brendam branch, but Sodor as a whole. He massively relieved the workload of the 4 engines, so they could focus more on passenger trains and the upkeep of Brendam docks. By 1954, Lady had been working at the clay pits for over 30 years. She was starting to fall slightly out of favor with the higher-ups, so it was eventually decided that she was to be replaced. In order to avoid any drama, Topham swooped in and purchased Lady from the company, and assigned her as the station pilot at Vickerstown, where she still works to this day. To fill her spot, the China Clay Company purchased 2 very small saddle tank engines named Bill and Ben to fulfill a new strategy with their shipments by way of splitting them up into smaller bits to ensure a more constant flow of deliveries. This strategy worked well for the company, and it's for that reason that they still use it to this day. Nowadays, the company still sees frequent service and has provided a massive amount of China clay to the rest of the world. It has also remained one of the most profitable contracts for the Northwestern Railway. Bill and Ben are still the privately owned engines, and things run more or less the same as before, with the slight addition of Derek, who sometimes helped with deliveries from the quarry during busy seasons. This has been an NWR Prophilic look at the Sodor China Clay Company. Thanks for watching.